After high school, she questioned whether college was worth the debt. Instead of college, she chose to work, save, and invest. She saved enough money to quit her job and take time off.
Oh, I was scared.
Why scared?
Because I don't share my story, or like people ask me about myself that much, and I actually don't really like it that much. Yeah, I like talking about like other people. I don't really talk about myself that often. Yeah, very reserved. Well, both my parents, they were born in Japan. They came here when they're pretty young. And because of that, I feel like there's a mixture of like Japanese culture, but they're also Americanized. So it's like this weird fusion, like growing up. So I feel like we had a lot of Asian values, but at the same time, we had mixed in with the American culture because we grew up like that. So when we're younger, I feel like, as usual, they teach you good family values, always like stick together. Education is also another factor too. But I think one of the main things, though, they always said keep good credit. Yeah, so that always stuck to me because my dad would always say credit is gold. So he always told me about that, even when I was a young girl. But I was like, I didn't understand when I was younger. But anyways, that's just one of the things I just remember from as I was growing up. My sisters, they graduated from college, or they were going to college. And then when it came time for me, when I was graduating from high school, I remember I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah, I was very lost. I thought I wanted to do like accounting or something like that because I don't like talking with people. I think a lot of influence comes from having two older sisters, so I'm always the younger one. But it's funny though because I feel like I was put in the middle between my two sisters. Because you know when you're young, I guess I was a more quiet one. We're around the 626 area, San Gabriel Valley. It was like a good mix of it, but the like kindergarten, I think it was kindergarten. My best friend at that time was, I guess, Hispanic, yeah. Yeah, and then I remember her mom was in like the admin, so I always end up kind of like staying in the more non-Asian classes. I never realized it though, because you know when you're a kid, you don't really think about, oh, this person's Asian, this person's whatnot, right? More until I was around like 6th grade, and then I finally saw like the Asians. But you know, even then, you don't think that, oh, I'm Japanese and this person's Korean or Chinese or anything like that. Honestly, there was probably one point I thought I was Chinese because I just grew up a lot of Chinese. But we just didn't know the difference when we were younger, right? It was very interesting though, because then you start seeing, you know, even Hispanic families though, they have like very strong family values too. But like seeing like, I guess other Asians too, it's like, it's a little, maybe a little different. 'Cause I don't like socializing with people. I'm the type of person to only have like 1 or 2 friends at most, because I don't like big crowds too much. So I was always kind of like the more shy ones, didn't talk too much, didn't want to talk too much. Oh, it's like drawing. Yeah, because that's very to yourself. You start imagining like all of these things. So I remember just sitting there and just doing like sketches and stuff. But my dad was also kind of an artist too, because he used to do like, yeah, painting, ceramics. My dad, yeah, I grew up, well, both my parents were around, yeah, but they did separate when I was like in, I don't know, maybe middle school. I don't really remember too well. Yeah, but they're always around. But I was with mostly like my dad when I was younger. You know, just how the agreement was, that like maybe like my mom was kind of like looking over my 2 older sisters, and maybe my dad wanted me, I don't know. There's a little point in time that was just me and my dad in the house. And then, so I was always with him, but he always kind of like dragged me around when I was younger because I didn't say anything, so I always had to be taken, even if I didn't want to go, so he would take me to his churches all the time. I go there. Oh, he was a general contractor. Yeah, so he always said also another thing too. It's like, oh, be your own boss and stuff like that. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do, obviously everyone just went to a community college afterwards, right? And then, yeah, still same story. And then my dad, I remember he went to the library one time and he found the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. And I remember he getting like super into it. He goes like, once he gets into something, he goes all in. Yeah, so he started like reading all the books. He bought all of them, and I guess he found out they had like investing classes and things of that sort. So he would drag me with him to all these classes. Like, what is this again? Just like when I was younger, I'd be dragged to these things. He'd make me go with him. Same story. It's like, you have to come with me and learn all this stuff. I was like, what are you getting yourself into again? In hindsight, that was like, yeah, that was a life changer. Besides the fact just sitting there trying to like sleep, but I mean, occasionally you like listen about what is it I want to do in my life, and that was one thing that I really didn't know what to do. Teach me about like financial freedom and stuff. But it's funny though, because I mean, like I understand that's what was taught in the books and everything. What was it? Taking down my financials? Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, always calculating everything, your income, your expenses, make sure you have cash flow, and that just stuck with me. You know, I still do it to this day. Just all the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. Yeah, it was very educational, and I think things that actually, I guess, we could apply to our own lives rather than just textbook, information. It was actually very interesting. Although still, when I was at that age, it still wasn't like real to me, like a lot of things. But yeah, once I started, I had to like making money and everything. Yeah, I really took those lessons to heart. My mom is very like, same as everyone else. It's like, oh, just go to school, get your degree, get a nice government safe job and everything. But at that time though, I didn't want to do it because we were taking a class. We talked about like student debt, and that was like big like no to me. I did not want to do it because I was like, man, I don't want to like have this burden of student debt. And my dad, he's a contractor, but he wasn't really like making a lot of money, and we had this house with a mortgage on it. So in order to kind of alleviate the situation, also based on the fact that I also didn't know what I wanted to do either, I just decided, let's not go that route. So like, let's just start working, and like I'll help with the family financials. My sister also helped too, because we ended up renting like rooms to help pay for the mortgage. So of course not everyone thinks, oh, let's rent a room to a stranger. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Because as I mentioned, I'm very to myself and introverted, so the people I talk to is very selective. But I mean, occasionally I had a group of friends, especially in high school, are pretty close. You hang out, you think everything is great, and then it comes to situations like, oh, they ask for a favor, you want to help them out. Especially when it comes to borrowing money, it's like, oh, you think, it's going to be paid back because you trust whatever it is they say, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, right? So it hurt me deeply when that happened, because you think that they're going to do something that they said they're going to do, and they end up not doing it, and it puts you in a situation where you have to deal with it afterwards. God. I was like, don't do that again. But I mean, I understand people need help, but just be, I guess, smart about it. So, everything in writing, Also, I ended up finding full-time work. Yeah, just jumped right in. I think I was 19 years old. Yeah, started in a company, just doing admin work, worked up from there, saved a little bit, kept the same financial, habits, keeping track of everything, income, expenses, because yeah, I just want to make sure there's always cash flow, right? Just like in the game, in the rat race game. Yeah, that's just living it, I guess, at that point. But of course, when I was at that time, my paychecks are not much, but it's like you still want to, you're not dealing with big numbers at that time, but still trying to make it work, right? It's kind of like you save it up, and then you say, invest a little bit in like silver and this and that, small things, just kind of like grow it. But now I think about it now, it's like it seemed so small back then, but now it's turned into something where it's like, oh, it made a big difference in my life. I mean, like the investing in properties, out in the East Coast, right? I was like doing that at such a young age. You didn't think of, oh, let's get a mortgage and buy like 5 houses and make some cash flow out of that, I was like, it's not something that everyone thinks to do, but actually it worked, Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I was like, yeah, you really learn about people, right? And their living habits and everything. I mean, like, yes, you think on paper, it's like, okay, they're gonna bring in this much, and then after all the expenses, you're gonna make this, until you see the living conditions. And oh, I still remember, what is it, It was a dead bird in one of the houses, and just trash everywhere, holes I think it was, and more that I probably shouldn't say. The smell, I'll never forget to this day. It's interesting though, because everyone said, oh, you should get a degree so you can get a high-paying job and everything like that. But I was able to progress pretty well. I mean, by the time, you know, my relatives also got jobs, I already had a job at the same time. And we're pretty much making probably maybe about the same, to be honest. Yeah, so it's just kind of, I just cut out the education portion of it and just started working. So, well, escrow company, yeah, with real estate, which, you know, I actually kind of liked it when we were learning about real estate. So going to escrow was kind of actually pretty, it wasn't bad, yeah. And especially since I like taking down numbers, so I was like, oh, okay, actually this might be a fit for me. Yeah, considering that. But I mean, it's very tough because, again, I was an introvert. But then you have to go out and talk to people and really like be the you know, the middle person amongst all these people, and you get like you know, you're on the bad end of certain conversations sometimes, and it gets really stressful. But honestly, that's like another learning experience that I just had to go through, because if I didn't go through that, maybe I'll still be very silent and just in a corner somewhere without really talking with people. So it really brought me out. Yeah, because it was tough. It was also a cultural difference too. Yeah, I mean, it's like because I'm Japanese American, but I worked with like a different like Asian culture, and it is, even though we're both Asian, it's still very different. Yeah, and then also too, because I'm Japanese American, but I don't speak like another language or anything. You have like still that language barrier all the time, and that was also hard to get through too. But I mean, you can deal with what you can. Oh, and in overall, it's about 10 years, I think, even with like short breaks in between. Yeah, but it really just gave me, I guess, the skill set and also the financing, like, you know, to get me going. Oh, when it got too much. I was like, you could start considering, okay, maybe there is something better. Yeah, you could, you know, have to stay in like such a difficult environment with the type of people that you're working with, whether it's your colleagues or the client. You know, there's just a lot of work at that time. But yeah, I mean, sometimes there's a breaking point. You know, even though you persevere as much as you can, I was like, if you just feel like there's no relief, then sometimes you just need to leave, I think. You do have to like sacrifice a little bit because for me, I like being in a stable financial, I guess, environment for myself before I decide to actually cut it off, the financing. Of course, I know some people always try to look for a different job, but look, for me, I like taking a break. So I made sure that I would have enough like reserves for myself, so I could give myself to take a break and find something else afterwards. Yeah, but I know not a lot of people have that same liberty because they'll have debts and obligations and that sort. But considering that I didn't have all that because I tried to keep my slate clean, yeah, I was very fortunate. I know a lot of people, especially younger, they just kind of buy whatever it is that they want, right? But I had to be very reserved and conservative with the things I wanted. So even like, I know people say, oh, you could just get a car with the car loan and stuff. But I was like, I'll just take, you know, a cheaper car and just drive that, and I don't need like the car loan and debt for it, or I don't need to like buy expensive purses or all this luxury stuff, because at the end of the day, what's it gonna do for me? I'd rather have like that savings and reserve, so that way I could have the liberty later to leave my job if I need to. You know, it's just like pros and cons. Everyone has different values, right? But that, for me, I chose that path. That's probably just all combination of all of that, because my dad was the type of person to say, oh, you know, be your own boss. My mom was more conservative, but she always saved money. So it's taking both those lessons together, and then ultimately knowing that there is a different way of going about it. You don't have to take student debt if you don't want to. And that was a big impact for me. I wouldn't know if it was discrimination, to be honest. Maybe I just didn't pay attention. But yeah, sometimes you kind of feel a little left out, especially with language barriers, whether I was growing up with, I don't know, Hispanic, Chinese, or, you know, anywhere else, Korean and whatnot. I was in all these different environments. And of course, you know, everyone would speak different languages around me. But that was okay with me. I'll take it as my peace time, you know? I think I'm a millennial. Yeah. Huh? Oh, that was tough. I'm in that generation where online dating just first came out, so everyone's experimenting with that, and then you start learning all these, I guess, catfishing and stuff like that. Fortunately, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that was a good thing. I've heard other people have that situation, but luckily I didn't. But I mean, like, I had my fair share. It was another learning experience, right? Because you only have like this simple profile to go based off of a whole person. And then it's funny though, because sometimes you have like great conversations with them online and you see in person and just like dead silence. It was awkward, but that's just, it was interesting to go through it. I guess maybe because when you're first like messaging someone, just like with anyone else, it's not like you're on the phone with them. At least for me, I don't like being on the phone. Maybe other people in my generation or even now are like that too. But it's just easier to, I guess, message people. But then having the courage to actually go and meet someone, yes, it takes like a step forward. And of course, at least everyone tells me to take your precautions because we're always kind of wary, especially as a female. You have to be very cautious of who we meet with and like making sure that people are aware of where you are. And because you just see too many horror stories and crime stories online. But then after so many different talking to so many people, you kind of like just ease up on that, and just after a while you're just like, I just want to find a normal person at this point. Just have a nice conversation. So I think towards the end I was like, I stopped having such high standards anymore. I was like, let's just take it for what it is. And I took a break because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but sometimes I was like, okay, maybe I'll try it, I'll just have a conversation. But it was a journey. I remember I caught COVID and there was nothing I could do, so I was kind of bored, and I just started talking online, and just having casual conversations just leads up to meeting, and it just kind of took off from there. We got married about 6 months or more ago. It is huge, yeah. Actually, he brought it up from the very beginning, or while we're still kind of dating, that it was very important to him to watch over his parents. So no matter what, he will always kind of be together, which I thought was, that's very, very understandable. Yeah, especially since they're older, and I accepted that. So when we got engaged, we lived together and with his parents. And actually it worked out okay. Obviously, there's some internal struggles, especially coming from living by myself with that type of freedom. Now it's like I went from that to going back home, and then now living with my fiance's family. It was definitely big differences in environment. Another language barrier, right? Because my husband's Vietnamese, and his parents only speak Vietnamese, but they're very nice to me, so it's okay. Oh, we just try gestures. I'm used to it because I'm always in a setting where people don't really understand me. So we're like, oh, just kind of waving it around, saying it's very simple, being straightforward. Yeah, but I know his dad's always telling me, oh, you should learn and stuff. I was like, yeah, I know. Not very good with learning languages. I can't even get Japanese down, but I'm trying. Let me try getting that language down first, and then I'll try Vietnamese after. Oh, that's true. I think it probably stems from my dad, because he will place such high importance in making sure you keep that heritage, I guess, right? And then also for myself too. I just like the culture. Yeah, I mean, when we grew up with my grandparents didn't speak any English, so when my parents would drop us off when we were little, I would stay with my grandparents, and then they'll teach us certain words and certain things because they came from Japan, came here, but they watched over us. I mean, I don't even know how we were wired that way, to be honest. Me and my sisters, we're always no matter what. Well, also because my dad was like, you better not put me in a hole. He was he made sure of that. I was like, okay, we get it. Yeah, but I mean, we're always just worried about their well-being all the time, especially now that they're older. You see them not being as young as they were before, especially from when we're younger. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, to be honest. But I mean, we care very much for our parents. I think because we're grateful for the fact that they're able to raise us and look after us and bring us to this world. Something about it just brings us back to them, just making sure that we keep an eye on them. Like after he was done doing his construction and everything, and he tried his hand in like investing and whatnot, and then he decided for retirement he wanted to go back to Japan and build his own house because he had built a house over here, so he thought he would do the same thing in Japan too. So he bought like this empty lot and wanted to start from scratch all over again, and just flies out there like half a year at a time and comes back and things of that sort. So that was another episode because my dad took 20 years to build our current house here, right? So we're thinking when he went to Japan, he's saying he's going to do the same thing, and you're already in like 50s, 60s. I'm like, I don't know how possible that's going to be. But he was very adamant about it. So when I tried to go visit him, it's just to make sure where he was at. Yeah, it's just dirt land and a little shed that he built for himself. There's no water, so you'll get water from the local church that he goes to, fill up in his tank and figure out this whole system. And like even the restroom too, you know, it's almost like outdoor camping. He was living like that. It was very interesting, but he's just that way, very handy. He could survive in the forest. He decided to go to North Japan, so during the wintertime it snows out there. So of course he'll come back when it was like really bad, but obviously in the beginning there was times where he stayed there almost year long, and then he'll have to figure out how to like live through those conditions despite trying to build his own place. I mean, he still has it in him that he wants to go back to the motherland, I guess is what people would say. But yeah, just the couple of times I hear he goes back and then we have the air tag on him and you find out he's in the hospital, it's like, oh my God, you know? We're all just trying to scramble and just find out how we could get in contact with him, and just knowing his health history. I think it was probably, especially with how the way I live my life right now, definitely after high school and then going through all those classes, to be honest, yeah, because I didn't have like that knowledge of knowing that there's another route. I probably would just take the typical route, to be honest. Going to college and trying to figure out what I want to do, choose a random major maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that, you know, succeeded very well in the major that they chose, but I feel like those were the ones that really knew what they wanted to do. But for those people, which I'm sure there's a lot of them that don't know what they want to do, it's nice to know that there's other options that they could explore.
What advice would you give to someone who doesn't want to go to college?
Right, because you want to make your parents proud and everything, and listen to what they want you to do, so that way they can see you successful. But knowing that, you know, the economic condition is so different now than it was before, there's no safe route anymore, right? So it'd be great to look outside the box. I mean, it's great that there's YouTube and everything. You can learn different skills and survive without having to go through that. And I mean, I don't think you have to put yourself in debt to learn certain skills. And a lot of people now, after they graduate, they tell you, technically, you did not have to go to school to learn all of this. It's very interesting to me, right?
When people ask, what are you? How do you answer?
Now that I think about it, I feel like people already know that because we're here in America. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, and you speak fluent English, they kind of already assume that you're American. So I just say, oh, I'm Japanese.
Who is the most well-known Japanese American?
Oh, who? Oh, God, I don't even know. Because honestly, I didn't know that many Japanese Americans growing up besides my family. Yeah, Yeah, I'm not too sure. Especially Japanese American. I mean, I know a Japanese one, but not Japanese American. It's a little different. I honestly feel like people could do like a trade school or something, learn a useful trade out there. It doesn't have to be by the book. Honestly, you'll be very successful, I feel like. I mean, even, you know, people that I know, they're saying, oh, I wish I had done this instead. And then could have been like, you know, financially free or much more happy with their situation, right? Well, my current one is just being able to, you know, just, I mean, while maintaining my own financial freedom, be able to buy a place, live my life, have a family, possibly. It's great. I mean, like, I know, especially since we look at the economy and the state of everything, I was like, nothing's ever, like, for sure, right? Nothing's ever stable. So, like, I could lose my job tomorrow, or, you know, my source of income. But it's just knowing that there are options to get through it. Oh, as it is right now, if we don't buy a place, then I could probably take like a good year or two. I guess I know everyone has their own habits and personalities. I know it's really hard to change that, right? But if you're able to train yourself to really know what's important, like, do you need that car with the extra features and stuff given your situation? It's like, if you're not really going anywhere, maybe you don't need it, or maybe you don't need the extra pair of shoes. You know, there's certain things where I kind of feel like if you notice there's things lying around that you don't even touch anymore, then maybe you shouldn't have bought in the first place, type of thing. Well, I mean, I have those thoughts to myself all the time. No one's perfect, right? But yeah, I guess even if it just means giving up just that one thing and that just puts it in your bank account instead, I think it'll take you a long way, to be honest. Just that one small step in your decision making will take you a long way down the road. Hey, thank you.